This is Optimal Startup Daily, episode 16. I don't think I'm employable anymore, by Ramit Sethi of IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com. And welcome to Optimal Startup Daily. I'm Dan, and I'm here every single day reading to you from some of the best blogs on entrepreneurship. And if you've got any topic requests for us, don't hesitate to share those. Visit oldpodcast.com and give us your ideas. That's oldpodcast.com. For now, let's get to today's post as we optimize your life. I don't think I'm employable anymore, by Ramit Sethi of IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com. I realized I had a problem when I was thinking of taking a 2-week vacation years ago. I started to get really mad just thinking about how the conversation was going to go with my boss. This was all in my head. Ramit: I'm planning to take a 2-week vacation at the end of June. I'll make sure all my projects are handed off to the right people. Boss: What? 2 weeks? Ramit: Yes? Boss starts listing reasons I can't go. 2 weeks is a really long time. Aren't you over your vacation time this year? We need you here in June, maybe later this year. Ramit: What the throws mug on the floor. At that point, I realized I was not really a good employee anymore. I know, we don't all concoct grandiose conversations in our heads. My favorite fantasy conversation always takes place at Subway, where I see a really mean customer being rude to a sandwich maker and I dispatch a devastating response. The rude customer shrinks away and the rest of the people in line start cheering. I am given a free sandwich. Fine, I admit it. This isn't normal. But how many of us have thought about the drudgery of working in our same jobs for the next 30 years? Of punching a 9-to-5 or worse clock while furtively counting up our glacially accruing vacation days? And of the relief of taking a few days off a year only to start dreading the return to work? Over the last few emails, we've been talking about our huge bucket list goals. Now that I run my own business, one of my favorite things is the flexibility to set my own schedule. When I was first thinking of starting an online business, I had no idea what it really meant. Now that I've been running one for nearly 10 years, I can appreciate the way it lets me live a rich life. For example, I can work from my apartment in San Francisco or stay in New York City. Usually once I detect the first hint of sweat on my body, I immediately fly to San Francisco. I can take impromptu trips to see college friends around the country. I never have to worry about buying appetizers or taking a taxi. If I want to do it, I can. Of those three, that last point is the most interesting to me. When I was a young and stupid idiot, first thinking of being a successful entrepreneur, I had delusional ideas that it would be all about walking into a car dealership, pointing at a car, and buying it with cash. God, kill me. Living a rich life isn't just about once-in-a-lifetime black carpet events. The truth is, a rich life is lived in the minor decisions you make on a daily basis. If my parents want to come visit me, I can afford to send them tickets and upgrade their seats so they can sleep better. If you want to outsource some of your work to a cleaning person, you can. And if you want to get more fit, you can hire a personal trainer and schedule your workouts any time of the day. It's about the freedom to decide what you want to do without having to worry about clocking in or saving $8 on an appetizer. Sure, everyone is nodding their heads now. Freedom sounds great, but most of us never get beyond the conversations in our heads because we're afraid of what might happen if we try something new. But when I first tried to start something online, I was petrified. Will anyone buy this from me? What if they call me a sellout? How do I even come up with an idea? I went through each of these things, and guess what? Each of my fears was true. People did call me a sellout. They told me I was stupid, nobody would ever read me, and delusionally, that my eyebrows were ugly. Once I learned how to turn my own skills into a successful online business, they faded away. It's like a burglar casing a house. If they see you lock your door and set the alarm, they're going to move on to an easier target. If I had let my fears control me, I would be sitting at a cubicle scheming about another angry conversation I was going to have for 2 weeks of vacation. Ugh. Guys, we all have these fears. Fears of not having an idea, of not being good enough to start something unconventional, fears of selling ourselves. Everyone has them. The difference is, some people let those fears control them like a vice around their necks, and other people say, you know what? Maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? I'm going to test those fears and try something new. If it doesn't work, all I've lost is a couple months. But if it works, my life will be totally different. You just listened to the post titled, "I Don't Think I'm Employable Anymore" by Ramit Sethi of IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com. And by the way, Ramit has a video in that post where he talks about risk-taking and putting yourself out there, so you can check that out. As usual, the link to the article is in this episode's description and at oldpodcast.com. Let me tell you a little bit more about Ramit. He's the author of the New York Times bestseller, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which, by the way, my wife read way back in 2010 or so, and that inspired her interest in personal finance. It's a really accessible book. Ramit writes for over 1 million monthly readers on his site, where he covers psychology, personal finance, careers, and entrepreneurship. His usual combination of psychology, analytical testing, and irreverent style led Fortune Magazine to call him the new finance guru on the block. And as I said, my wife loved his book, and we've only ever heard good reviews about it from others, so definitely worth checking out. Again, it's called I Will Teach You to Be Rich, and you can find it on Amazon. And Ramit appears on ABC and PBS regularly. He also periodically writes for the New York Times. He studied social influence and persuasion at Stanford and previously co-founded PB Works, a Silicon Valley collaboration startup. And I've been reading Ramit's content for a really long time. He was one of the first authors we narrated over on Optimal Finance Daily. And actually, just last year, I had the opportunity to hear him speak as one of the keynotes at FinCon 2019 in Washington, D.C., the financial conference, and he was such an entertaining speaker. He really got the crowd engaged, and I was glad I got to be there. So come by IWillTeachYouToBeRich.com for a lot more, and thanks again to Ramit for giving us permission to narrate his work for years now. All right, that should do it for today. Hope you have a happy Friday and great start to your weekend, and I thank you as always for being a subscriber to the show, and I'll see you back here tomorrow where your optimal life awaits.